The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
All right, well, Kevin, thank you so much. Yes, it is truly a sight to behold here out at the park at Riverwalk. This walk all around the little pond here, lined with at least 2 rows of flags. And again, Kevin was mentioning that is to honor and remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice here on this Memorial Day. A couple folks already making that walk around the park this morning, but there are plenty more ways to celebrate and remember today if you are not able to make it out to the Riverwalk. That all starts at 9 a.m. at Union Cemetery. They will be holding a day of remembrance at a little celebration over there. Flags are up there already, and volunteers are needed to remove them tomorrow afternoon. I believe that happens at 2 p.m. And Tehachapi's Memorial Day Parade also kicks off this morning at 10 a.m. up in your neck of the woods, Maddie, so that should be a fun celebration there. And a couple other events to let you know about. Green Lawn Funeral Home will hold a celebration and a day of remembrance today, and Hillcrest Park and Mortuary will also hold a ceremony of remembrance today. That is at 11 a.m. So plenty of events going on to honor and remember those who have served and passed away due to combat. Obviously, all of these flags out here are, again, it's just something to see. And, you know, if you can make it out at all today to give that honor and that memorial, I certainly recommend you do so. For now, live in Bakersfield, Chris Burton, 17 News.
All right, Chris. Yeah, beautiful display out there.
All right, thanks much.
Well, and while there are many events happening today to remember those we've lost, hundreds gathered on Saturday to pay their respects to the heroes who have laid down their lives for our country at the Bakersfield National Cemetery. With more than 500 people in the audience as county leaders gave prayers and speeches, visitors say this weekend is the perfect time to sit and reflect on all of those sacrifices made.
It's a time to remember the solemn and heroic price that was paid so we can live like this and be free.
This was the first Memorial Day event at the cemetery since before the pandemic.
And while today kicks off the unofficial start of summer, it may be a preview of a very difficult travel season. Since Friday, thousands of flights have been delayed or canceled. NBC's Emily Akita has details.
The holiday weekend is kicking off summer and a chaotic start to the season's anticipated travel boom as thousands of passengers face flight delays and cancellations amid bad weather and staffing shortages.
I've never had anything remotely close to this.
Among the frustrated, Daryl Berg, who resorted to driving 7 hours after Delta canceled the last leg of his flight.
I asked them at the service desk why the flight was canceled, and they said, we don't have crew.
Are you worried about your trip home now?
Oh, absolutely.
His travel woes, a potential sign of what's to come, experts say, if demand remains high through the summer. Nearly 7 million taking to the skies so far this holiday weekend. That's up 25% from last year and just shy of pre-pandemic numbers. But airlines have thousands fewer employees than they did in 2019, which means even small disruptions can have a rippling effect. Delta leads in cancellations this weekend, blaming bad weather and congested airspace, just days after announcing it's trimming summer flights by about 2%, joining JetBlue, Spirit, and Alaska Airlines in paring back schedules to reduce disruptions. Passengers stuck at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson today.
We just want to get home, you know?
Compounding frustrations, the average cost of a ticket nearing $400. That's a 28% increase from 2019, and the result of the summer season, steep jet fuel prices, and surging demand. But will that demand hold?
At what point do people say, enough, I'm going to change my plans and not go anywhere? That remains to be seen.
In the meantime, experts say book early, avoid checking bags, and be flexible with your timeline as summer travel takes off. Emily Ketta, NBC News, New York.
5:07 is our time now, and a massive fire ripped through a building in Oildale, destroying a local business. Here's a look at the 2-alarm fire. It started on Saturday as a grass fire behind Dick's Automotive and Service on State Road near Olive Drive. Soon after the building caught fire, city and county fire crews sent firefighters to battle the flames, with about 24 firefighters on the ground and up high dousing the flames. The building's roof collapsed and another portion of the structure also collapsed. Multiple businesses were also affected, including Airless Trailer Sports Motorcycle Shop and Benex, a popular bar and night spot for locals. No one was hurt in the fire.
CHP says at least one person is dead after a crash in Northeast Bakersfield. Emergency crews were called to Alfred Harrell Highway near Hart Park for reports of a crash just after 8 last night. When they arrived, they found a person driving a Nissan lost control of the car, falling off the road and crashing into a ditch. The impact threw at least one person out of the vehicle, and that person was pronounced dead at the scene. An officer tells 17 News 3 other people were in that car and all sustained serious injuries. It's unclear what led up to the crash. We'll keep you updated as we learn more.
Coronavirus is rapidly spreading once again in California, and our state's leader has now tested positive. Governor Gavin Newsom says he has been infected with COVID-19 and is experiencing mild symptoms. This comes just 10 days after he got his second booster shot in Bakersfield, as you can see here. And here at home, Kern Public Health announced 919 new positive cases and 5 more deaths attributed to the virus. This data is from their latest update on Friday. That is more than double the amount of cases we saw in last week's update. Hospitalizations, though, remain relatively low. State data shows we have 30 people in the hospital with more severe symptoms of COVID. 5 more are in the ICU.
Making news around the nation, the Justice Department is weighing in, saying it will open a review into why it took officers nearly an hour to take out the shooter as children were repeatedly calling 911. President Biden was in Uvalde yesterday, meeting with the community in mourning. The president emotional and promising Washington will act. Sam Brock has details.
President Biden paying his respects to the victims of Uvalde. Laying flowers at this memorial at almost exactly the same time the U.S. Justice Department announced a critical incident review of the police response to the mass shooting to identify lessons learned and best practices as this community fumes.
You've been here, cowards!
Officers waited in a hallway for more than 45 minutes before federal agents overrode guidance to stand by, unlocked the classroom, and killed the gunman, according to senior law enforcement officials.
Do you feel like there's been any kind of explanation?
Hell no! No! They have not explained themselves at all! And no explanation should change this! Nothing!
Raw emotion everywhere, with long lines to see the memorial in 100-degree heat. President Biden hugging and consoling those grieving, at one point wiping a tear from his eye. As for Governor Greg Abbott, he was greeted with large jeers and screams.
We need change!
The head of state has repeatedly defended current gun policy and said this situation could have been much worse. Hollow words for the family of Eliana Torres.
Because really, to me, Eliana means a lot. She means some part of my body. They took it away from me.
She was a star that shined, and now that she's gone, it's just like the star that just dimmed out.
For families who've had something irreplaceable stolen, it's time for some accountability and answers.
Does it feel to you like police did their job?
No.
No. Because the clock is ticking. See, every second counts. It's not minutes, it's not an hour, it's seconds. See, and they never did anything. I was watching them leaning on the car, see, like protecting themselves. What about those kids?
Kids whose closest cousins share their aspirations.
What did Eliana want to be when she grew up?
A lawyer and a nurse.
A lawyer and a nurse.
And now, their tears.
Does it hurt here too? Does it feel like there's something missing?
Feels like a part of me just fell off. Feels like I only have one piece of my heart now.
There's something that's gone. Do you think that having some video?
And that was Sam Brock reporting. Meantime, the local Sikh community will hold a vigil for shooting victims in Uvalde tonight at 7 at Dasmesh Puwari Park at 7000 Weibel Road in southwest Bakersfield.
And this shooting has reignited the fierce debate over new gun laws. And there were some signs this weekend that maybe, just maybe, both sides in Congress are willing to look for some common ground. Democrats pushing stricter gun laws are sounding cautiously optimistic. What's on the table? Red flag laws that deny guns to individuals deemed a threat to themselves or others. Expanded background checks, which Americans overwhelmingly support in polls. But neither of those proposals would have stopped the Uvalde gunman or many others. The New York Times devoted a full page to the long list of mass shootings where the guns were purchased legally.
Let's all agree we got to do something. It's within our power to do it.
Senators from both parties will meet virtually this week and hope to have a bill ready to vote on by next week. The National Rifle Association's annual meeting wrapped up yesterday with protesters gathering outside the convention hall and across the country, calling for new gun control measures. On stage at the annual convention on Friday, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who kept the group's traditional position, opposing any new gun law legislation, saying it would do very little to stop criminals. Former President Donald Trump also addressed the crowd.
Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was arrested after driving under the influence over the weekend. Pelosi was arrested just before midnight. Pelosi's husband was arrested just before midnight on Saturday in Napa County, getting booked on 2 counts of driving under the influence, along with having a blood alcohol content of 0.08 or higher, both of which are misdemeanors. The 82-year-old, who has been married to Nancy Pelosi since 1963, had his bail set at $5,000.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.